The Free Thinker Show. Ignite your mind, challenge the norm.
Okay, so getting into it today, we're going down a rabbit hole. We're talking about, the attempt on Donald Trump's life back in July. What if? Like, what if this one thing had happened differently? And today's one of those where it's, we're not trying to bum anybody out. We're looking at, like, you sent me this video. It's super interesting about the potential outcomes of something like this.
And it's not just, I think, about being bummed out. It's about, like, taking a single event and using it to understand, all the things that could happen as a result.
Yeah.
So it's the attempt on Trump's life, July 13th.
Yeah. And the video really, I think it really focuses in on what if he hadn't survived?
Right.
Like, that's the big
question,
right? And it's July. It's days before the Republican National Convention. And like, everything's about to go bananas if he...
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they hear Republican National Convention and they think it's just this big political rally or something.
Yeah.
But it's actually where the nominee is decided.
Oh.
It's like the combination of all the primaries.
Right.
All the delegates get together. It's a whole thing.
And he's like,
it's a big deal.
the main guy.
Yeah.
He's like the leading man in this whole thing. And then poof.
Well, and he essentially ran unopposed in the primaries.
Yeah.
So you have this whole, like, what happens? I mean, who...
Yeah. Who fills that?
Yeah, who fills that void?
And not even just who ran against him, but...
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The video even, like, speculates that, like, people that had bowed out might come back in.
Yeah.
It's like all bets are off.
All the backroom deals and the, just the...
It'd be like an episode of House of Cards or something.
Totally.
Like, who's, like, suddenly...
Who are you best friends with?
Yeah, right, exactly.
What favors can you call in right now?
And it's huge because it's like it highlights how important those conventions really are.
Yeah. Totally. And so then you've got this, like, political machine that's, like, suddenly in overdrive. And then it's like, okay, but what about everybody else?
For the rest of the country.
The video, like, takes this turn and it's like, but hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not just about Washington.
Yeah. What about everybody else? And that's where it starts to get a little...
It gets real.
Intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, because how can you ignore the, societal impact?
Right.
And the video draws a parallel to January 6th.
Yeah.
Especially after Trump's comment about, fight.
Yeah, that one line gives me chills, man, every time. It's like, what if this is...
Because it's like, could this happen?
Yeah, what if this is, like, the...
On a larger scale.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And, like, especially, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Trump's base is, like, they are ride or die.
Yeah. They're cut from a different cloth, for sure.
And so it's like,
yeah.
if something like that happened, how much of that is, like, misplaced anger? And we've seen this throughout history, right?
Yeah. I mean, assassinations have a tendency to inflame these tensions.
Absolutely. And, like, especially now with social media and, like, the way that...
Fast misinformation can spread.
Yeah.
It's frightening, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that the video highlights is, like...
And it underscores the need for, like, responsible leadership in that moment.
Oh, 100%.
Like, accurate information.
Yeah.
Calming presence.
Right, because if you don't have that...
If you don't have that, then, it could get really bad really fast.
And it already feels like we're, like, walking on eggshells, so it's like... Yeah, so it's a little intense. And, it's not even just about, like, the violence. It's like, even if we're lucky enough to avoid all of that, you still have this, like...
The societal rift.
Yeah, this... The
potential is there,
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't happen.
Right. Even if it doesn't, it's there.
The potential is there. And I think that's what's so...
It's like it's almost like the video is saying, like, okay, you think the political stuff is wild.
Right.
Just wait until we zoom out a little bit.
Because this impacts everybody. Yeah. Like, it's not just about, who's in the Oval Office or, it's us.
Yeah.
It's all of us. And I think that's kind of, that's what makes it so fascinating and scary.
Cool.
Is that this isn't just a game in Washington.
Right.
This is our lives.
Yeah, and it really highlights, like, how easily things could fall apart in a way that maybe, like, 5-10 years ago we wouldn't have even thought about.
It's true. It makes you think. It really makes you think about, what can we do?
Yeah.
To make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. How do we make sure that we're on solid ground here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Because it feels very...
We're on shaky ground right now.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And it's like, as if all of that wasn't enough, right? The video throws another, like, wrench in the gears.
Okay.
What if Trump had been, like, seriously injured? Like, incapacitated but not dead?
I mean, that's, like, a whole other can of worms. Because you can't just, like...
You can't just replace a guy who's in a coma.
Right.
You know? Like, there's no...
Oh, right. It's not like he's...
There's no protocol for that.
It's not like he's, you know, sadly passed away.
Right, right.
And it's like...
It's his uncharted territory, right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So, and on top of that, it's like, okay...
Well, and it's an election year.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, you're the Republican Party, and you're like... Do we try to, like...
What do we do?
Pull somebody out and be like, hey, sorry, it's you, go. Or like,
how does that even work?
Can you imagine that pressure?
Oh, it'd be insane.
Of trying to be like, on the one hand, we're trying to win an election, and on the other hand, our guy's in the hospital.
Right, exactly.
It's like, what do you...
And then the video even goes on, and it's like, okay, what if he wins?
Oh my gosh.
But he's still incapacitated.
Right.
So then it's like...
Well, that's where, like, the 25th Amendment stuff comes in.
Right. Exactly.
Which for the life of me, I can never remember.
Yeah, most people, like...
Exactly what it says.
It's one of those things you learn in school, and then you're like,
yeah,
I know that's important, but I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was actually ratified in 1967.
Okay.
And it basically provides this way to replace the president or the VP in the case of, you know, death, resignation, removal, or incapacitation.
Oh, okay. So that's where that kicks in.
That's where it kicks in.
Okay.
And so in this scenario, he's elected, but he's out.
Right.
So common sense would say, okay.
J.D. Vance is now president.
Right. But, and this is what's fascinating, the video points this out.
Okay.
If he were to die after winning, but before being sworn in, the VP doesn't automatically become president.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know, right? It seems very obvious.
It's like common sense goes out the window. But the thing is that the 25th Amendment only applies once the president's been sworn in.
Oh.
So because he hasn't actually taken the oath of office yet, Vance wouldn't automatically be bumped up.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then what happens?
Yeah. Like, is it just like, sorry, we don't have a president right now?
And that's where this whole thing about, like, changing the date of the election.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can just be like, hey, everybody, reschedule.
Yeah, no, it's not like a dentist appointment.
Right, exactly. It's enshrined in federal law.
Right.
It would take a majority vote in the House and the Senate, and then the president would have to sign off on it.
So you've got, like, Congress trying to agree on something, and the clock's ticking.
Yeah, and it's not just, like, you know, they're ordering pizza. Like, this is...
Right, this is kind of a big deal.
This is a fundamental part of our democracy.
Right.
And the video, I think, it highlights how stiff the American political system is.
Yeah.
It's really hard to change something like that.
Yeah. Because it should be, right?
It should be.
It's not something you want to be like, yeah, let's just, you know.
Yeah, it's just, you know.
Like, back a week, it's fine.
Right. Yeah. It takes time, it takes consensus, and like you said, it takes, like...
Which feels a little...
Cooperation?
Yeah.
That I don't know if we have right now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what if that doesn't work?
Right, what if they can't?
What if we get to, like, January 20th?
Yeah.
And there's no one to swear in?
Then you're talking about a full-blown constitutional crisis.
Right.
Right? Like, who's legitimately in charge?
Right.
You have these potential power vacuums, and then, like we talked about before.
Right, because then it's just fuel on the fire.
Exactly.
That's already, like, kind of smoldering, you know?
Exactly. And it's just, it shows you how even the most stable democracies are built on, you know, agreements.
Like, we all agree that this is how it works.
This is how it works.
As soon as you take that away,
the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, it gets a little scary, honestly, to think about all the what ifs and the...
It's a lot. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, it kind of makes you want to just, like, throw your phone in the ocean and, like, move to a cabin and...
I get it.
Like, forget that any of this is happening.
I get it, but the thing is the video doesn't end, like, on a totally bleak note.
Okay, yeah, where does it...
It asks a really interesting question, and it's actually kind of hopeful in a way.
Okay, I'm curious now.
So it asks if maybe something like this as awful as it would be,
right,
could it actually bring us together?
Oh, wow.
Like,
Okay.
instead of driving us apart.
Okay, so
Like-
it's like that shared, like,
Shared trauma.
yeah, that shared experience.
Right. Can that be the thing?
Okay.
Because we're so divided right now.
Totally.
Could something like this actually be like
Yeah.
the thing that forces us to be like, hey, wait a minute.
Right, we're all in this together.
We all want the same things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, we all want the best for our families, for our country.
Yeah.
And that's a really like powerful thought, especially I feel like right now.
Yeah, because
It very feels like it's so
we're so focused on the things that divide us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe it takes something like this to kind of to remind us.
Right, to zoom out a little bit.
To zoom out, exactly.
So where do we even go from here? Because we've gone from this like assassination attempt to like the political maneuvering to the
societal unrest.
just like the potential for like violence.
Yeah, and even
like
our
foundations
of our democracy being shaken.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to think about.
It's a lot.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I think what we've learned today is that
Yeah.
even in all this chaos,
Yeah.
there's still hope.
Yeah. I like that.
We have to be resilient.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to choose empathy.
Yeah, choose hope.
And choose, to come together.
Yeah, because that's all we can do, right? At the end of the day.
I think so, yeah.
It's in our hands.
It is.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
I think so too.
It's been quite a journey, but I think, hopefully everyone listening can kind of take a moment to, like you said, to zoom out.
Yeah.
And think about, like, what can we do, as individuals to kind of to help bridge those divides.
To make it a little bit better.
Exactly, to make it a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, on that note, this has been a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, deep dive.
As always.
As always.
Yep.
Until next time.
See you later.